Hey, girl.
Sweet baby.
Well, see, I can see.
So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Man,
And that and the go live button totally did not sync with the intro, but we are here.
I missed
How's it
that
going,
intro,
everyone?
man.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
y'all.
it's been a while. As you can tell, it's been a
Minute.
while, but we have the full gang here. We have
Including
D. D, how's it
Yo,
going?
yo.
We have a fresh new face, Ryan. You may know
Hello.
him. And we have is that other Ryan?
No, that's
That
Sophia.
was Sophie.
It's Sophia.
Okay. Okay, I can tell who we have with us. Okay, we
Hey,
have
mama.
Courtney. How's it going, Courtney?
All right, the most important person here is the baby.
Of course, always.
Yeah. Like
She's so
we
cute.
are like
No
we
one
are the
cares about
background
us.
singers. Yeah,
No
we
one
are the
cares about
background
us.
singers.
Nobody
Everyone's
comes
here
to
for
see
the
Otis.
baby. But yeah, we're here to talk about the finale of WandaVision, and we have a lot to talk about. But before we get to that, D, I appoint you, and I'm doing this for a specific reason, which I'll
Oh,
let you know
Lord.
later. But I'm doing this so recap our previous episode.
Last episode was
You can do it. I believe in you.
okay. Was the last
Flashback.
episode was that wasn't the Modern Family? This was the trauma, right?
This is the trauma.
Yes,
This
this
is the
is
best way to describe that
this is-
episode.
last episode. We had Agatha, since it was her all along, trying to figure out what pretty much is Wanda's power. Like, how is she doing all of this with so much gusto and without it? And it seems like, without any effort, pretty much at all. So it pretty much goes through Wanda's life, and it shows from a very small age when she was with her parents and her brother and her dad. It looks like he sold DVDs, maybe. Were they DVD or VHS tapes?
He was a bootlegger. I was just
That was
oh, man.
definitely
I mean, he
DV
was. He
that
was
was definitely VHS. So I don't think
surely
DVDs.
bootlegger, and they were all American TV shows. So they had movie night, and Wanda got to pick what they watched. So she liked to pick, sitcoms. So that shows us where she got from, where the inspiration for her coming and getting all the stuff is. All right. So she goes there. Then they show her. Well, they show this explosion, which, by the way, was magnificent because I didn't see it coming. And that's the whole point of an explosion, right? You don't see it coming. And there's a Stark missile that lands in the living room that never goes off. So
Howard
we
Stark
have
is a war criminal.
we have Courtney and Ron's favorite part of that episode where Agatha makes sure to say, "Did you stop that bomb from going off?" And Wanda's like, "No, it was a dud. We just didn't know it at the time." So yeah, there's that. Then we go to later years where Wanda just pretty much decides to be a test subject. Can we call it a test subject?
Pretty much.
Who
Yeah.
was? I don't even know who was holding her though.
It was
That's Von
Hyde-
Strucker. Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
Von Strucker.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were holding her, and
Hydra.
they were trying to figure out. They were trying to introduce them to something.
They were testing the Mind Stone because every person that had touched it died. So they're doing experiments on the Mind Stone.
died. Wanda did not die. Wanda actually did very well with said Mind Stone. So it's pretty much we go through all of this, and then we get to the point where Wanda is going to get Vision's body, and this is after, of course, the events of Endgame, and she goes to get the body, and Hayward, right? I keep wanting to call him Haywood, but it's Hayward. Hayward's
It's
telling
Hayward.
her, he's saying to her, "Well, why do you want his body? It's not like you can bring him back." And she was
Is that
like, "Well, I'm
right?
not trying to bring him back." Yeah. She's like, "I'm not trying to bring him back." He was like, "Are you sure
He's like-
you're not trying to bring him back? Are you positive? Are you absolutely certain that you're not trying to bring him back to life? Because you can do that, right?" And she's kind of like,
So
bruh, I just want his body. Like, I'm his next of kin. I want his body. He deserves a funeral. That's what I want to do. And he's like, nah, I ain't letting you take all that vibranium. Like, pretty much that's all he said. So she got pissed, but she realized she couldn't feel him anymore, and she left. That's when she went to the home that the plot that he bought for her for them to grow old together. She spazzes out and creates the hex. And within that hex is where her and Vision were supposed to be. Now, initially, I didn't see anybody, and I don't know if this was just a plan or whatever, because I can't tell still, even after this episode. But we see later that there's pretty much just, it's her and Vision, and she's happy. But then, other people are being introduced, and this is how we figure out that it was Agatha all along. So yes, so by the end, we see that Agatha's telling her, you're doing all this with no incantations, no spells. That means you're the Scarlet Witch.
And D, thanks for that recap. And I just want to let you know. No, I just want to let you know that in a sense you kind of remind me of Wanda Maximoff. Do you want to know why?
It was me all along.
No, because you much like Wanda, you want Vision's body.
I swear to God.
You did this.
D started this. This is what D created.
Look at that.
Look at him. Look at that. Look at the hand.
I saw people saying the same thing on Facebook, and I just was like, "You see the monster you created."
To be fair, I give equal blame to D and to Ransom. Shout out to Ransom, because Ransom tweeted something that kind of went under the radar. But he said this is out new, basically our chapter of Alpha to a T. So like basically, yes, that is an all you need is the P coat and the chain and it's set. There you go. So
all I want to say
it's D and Ransom's fault.
The KWC as a whole has been saying fuck with the Vision for years. This ain't just me.
But you've literally
tried.
The man looks very regal. That's all I said.
Okay.
That's all I said.
All you have to do is go back and watch the previous episode to know the truth.
I didn't give him a Cuban link and a gold open face crown. I think it was open face and maybe a do-rag and wait. I didn't do that. I mean, I'm not mad at the person who did. It just wasn't me. That's all I'm saying.
All right,
it sounds like someone that would have done that. That's what they would have said.
Yeah.
It's someone that did that.
But yeah, I just had to poke fun at you for a second, so we'll move on into this episode, which is
I just think people need to go outside.
Please, let's
get some oxygen.
Please, Joe Biden, more vaccines. But no,
yes,
but no, seriously,
May is too far out. Please make it March.
But yeah, so let's get into this episode and let's just talk about a bit about like how you felt about the finale as a whole before we talk about like the series as a whole. So, Ryan, since you're the new guy here, talk about your feelings about the finale.
Okay, I thought the finale was very well done. I understand that there are some complaints about it, but I feel like for the story that they were trying to tell in Wanda's story, Wanda and Vision's story, but Wanda's story, I feel like they did a good job of tying most of the issues that were introduced in this series. Of course, there's still things that are lingering that will be tied up on other ends, that are hopefully tied up on other ends. There are some reveals that were just kind of like, that's a letdown. Like Ron, you and I have had the back and forth about the Ralph reveal, which, I get why people are bothered by it because it was just kind of shoehorned in. But I'm very glad that they at least tried to answer the question, because I would have been more upset if we never found out who the heck Ralph was that she kept referring to. But with that said, I think that, it was fast paced. We never really had a dull moment, but it wasn't so fast that you couldn't keep up with what was happening. You were always able to kind of, keep tabs on, keep the pulse on what was going on. And, they just kind of, I think the story beats were it was just all kind of tied together well. There's one lingering question that I have that I think will be answered later. But I'll see if anybody else kind of jumps on that before I ask it.
All right, Courtney, let's move to you. So we'll like, if we don't bring up that question, definitely ask it at the end of the episode because I'm curious. But Courtney, let's move on to you.
I think it's not as bad as people. I think people are really love to be very dramatic when it comes to shows and stuff on Twitter because I don't know. I don't know if it's for clout, whether you want to feel like you belong with everyone else that's fake mad, or you just need a hobby. I don't know. I don't think it's that deep. The only one I ever thought was that deep was Game of Thrones. That's justified. But I have to say it every episode. But I think it was okay. So of course, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my least favorite either. I think, and I've said this almost every episode, that I really applauded this series. Can we block AJ, please? Get AJ out of here. It's going to delve into chaos. But I think that because it was a lot of creative writing and Marvel / Disney going outside of the box. And with this episode, they went right back to the boring fight scenes. And that's what got me bored with Marvel in the first place. Like, I don't care about the lasers. I don't care about the witchy fights back and forth. It's boring. Stop blowing your budgets on CGI. You know why they do it? And it's like most of the series, the writing has been good, but they use really good actors and really good CGI to cope for the fact that the writing is subpar. Because I felt that the writing was subpar this episode, and I'm very tired of Marvel. Like, Disney, you have the money to pay your to have good writing. So, and you show that you can do that. I'm gonna go on a little tangent because like most of the series was so creatively done, and then they go back to the same stuff with this episode. Like, I'm not upset. I'm just like, I guess, a little disappointed. I'm gonna get into like the more detailed stuff as we get to those parts. But I just like Marvel, you have all of the money in the world to do better. And you showed that you had the potential. Once you show you have the potential, you can't go back to the same boring CGI and subpar writing. Like, you can't have your actors and your special effects people constantly like basically do all the work for you. We need good writing. So
I agree, and I'll get to my thoughts later. But D, go ahead.
I slightly disagree about the fight scenes. I like the, I guess, more realistic fight scenes. I get the point with the CGI though, like that I get, because you don't need all of that. But one of my favorite Marvel movies is Winter Soldier, and the reason I love it so much are the fight scenes. Like, those are the parts of the movie that I like the most. Like the knife scene with Bucky and Cap is just amazing, and when he caught the shield, all that stuff, amazing. And when in Ragnarok, when Hela caught, Mjolnir, I can't say it. Y'all say it.
Mjolnir.
What's the name of hammer?
Mjolnir.
That is not it.
Mjolnir. You don't pronounce the J. It's like a Y sound.
Yeah.
That when she caught it and crushed it, like, so some of the stuff I think is worth it. See me and Cindy right here. But so I didn't mind Wanda and Agatha's fight. I think it may have gone a little long. I'll agree with you on that point. I liked Vision and Vision's fights. I don't know, maybe I just like explosions and shit. I don't know. But the episode itself, I don't know what I was expecting. I don't think I was disappointed because I wasn't expecting it to wrap up, because in my mind I always thought it was just kind of like it filled in a gap for whatever's coming for the next movie. So I mean, I didn't love it or hate it, to be honest. It just was what it was.
I just want to say something. Mom, your favorite movie is Made in Manhattan. You have no valid opinions about movies and TV shows.
Whoa.
No, I take my mom, like, I have been joking with my mom for years that she has the worst taste in TV and movies in history.
Look, Courtney, let me tell you something.
She thinks that Jennifer Lopez is one of the best actresses of our generation.
We will not accept this attack on our strongest patron.
Do you agree? Do you think that Jennifer Lopez is one of the best actresses of our generation?
No.
But
do you think
Courtney?
I would like to step in here as the co-vice president of the Cindy Campbell Stan account. I just would like to say that we are not going to disrespect Miss Cindy in here, okay?
We will not have it.
Courtney, if we have to make a choice, you're out of here. I'm sorry.
You know how many times I had to watch Made in Manhattan growing up against my will?
I have had to watch Sleepless in Seattle. I don't know how many times. My mom loves that movie. However, we're not tolerating Cindy Campbell disrespect. I'm sorry.
Not today. Off air, Courtney. Just not on there. Won't happen.
I'm just saying I want people to have some background. Maybe we should listen to her opinions about TV.
I mean, fair, because I roast Jess over Suicide Squad all the time, but that's another conversation.
As you should.
But yeah,
So, yeah.
so as a finale as a whole, like we said, I'm sure we'll break down everything when it comes to it. But as a whole episode, I think it was okay. I wasn't upset with it at all. I think the ending kind of did it for me because it was touching, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so I feel the same. I feel for one thing, I think people were expecting this show, like, okay, I think this show is a vehicle to something larger, but people were expecting things to happen within this show that simply isn't how Marvel do things. Like it takes time. There are little breadcrumbs that allude to things that are going to happen later. So this got back to Wanda and her, exactly, AJ. We're gonna get to that later, but this gets back to Wanda and her family and her trauma. And in that regard, I think the episode was effective. But much like Courtney said, the fight scenes weren't effective enough because actually I didn't even need a fight scene because you mean to tell me like Agatha is gonna like keep Wanda Maximoff in check when Wanda damn near beat Thanos by herself. But anyway,
one quick thing, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to add in, like when I say fight scenes, especially, I mean like the lasers between the visions and the witch powers, like that kind of stuff is corny to me, and it's old. It's kind of tired. I loved the scenes where it was the mind battle between the visions. Like that was excellent. Like I thought that was excellent. Which is dialogue. Which again, you can't stop using fights as a crutch when you can use dialogue.
And I guess maybe it's me, Courtney, but I didn't feel like the fight scenes went on that long. Like,
but they weren't. But it was just corny. Like it's overused when But I think the Vision stuff was like it was kept in the background. But like I feel like it just to me just wasn't necessary. Like
it was very formulaic. So yeah.
And then like the mind battle where she did the Age of Ultron callback where she did like the mind battle and it actually was a mind battle between her and Agatha. Like that was really cool. It's just that like I don't know. It's just like it seems like it's the same old stuff to me.
To your point, when she did that, my husband was like, "Oh shit, she's done." Because that's the scene, he was like, "Oh, that's what she did to Bruce and all of them in the other one." But when she flipped it, I was like, "Oh."
Seemed like more of that.
Yeah.
More of that.
Agatha is more than I thought she was. I'm not saying that I couldn't tell she was powerful, but
but that's what I'm saying. Like I think we could have had those things in a different way, but we got to the conventional like Marvel fights. So yeah, and once again, this just goes to like what I was saying about like the last two episodes, like it was like conventional Marvel and it started off a certain way. But ultimately I did like the finale and I thought it was a good finale. But so let's actually get into the finale. Let's talk about like some important things that happen because there are some important things that happen. At first, I just want to go ahead and get into it because we already talked about it. The Quicksilver explanation. Who wants to talk about that one first?
Nobody.
Courtney, go ahead.
I'll go into it because it's frustrating. So I'm just gonna kind of reverse. Like, I feel like most people have seen X-Men, so we know that Evan Peters played Quicksilver in that. You don't have to be like this super deep, like lives in your mom's basement comic book fan to know that. Like, I feel like that's a casual fan type of thing. Like Disney, stop saying that you're trolling people. Like that's not a valid excuse with this. Stop it. Then you would have done it with Star Wars and shut those fans up. Anyway, so basically instead of like even a crumb of like, haha, multiverse, because that's where he got plugged from, he's just some random actor who goes by John Boner.
Yeah,
I think it actually the correct pronunciation would have been Boehner because I'm thinking about like the Speaker of the House,
Boehner.
the former. But and I'm like whatever, funny, and like he's not actually anything important. I'm guessing he had the powers from the necklace that Agnes had. I'm still a little confused about how she was able to give him those powers, but he's just an actor. So I've been saying this, it kind of gives me Iron Man 3 vibes where it's like very annoying. But I just feel like I get with it where they were going with the troll, but I think it was a worse idea to do that than to not do it at all, than to have some random person do it, because it actually would have been an excellent idea. And they were showing they could have done that. It was just it was like, what was the point? And I think, Ron, you said it earlier. I don't know if you said it live or not, that it's just like, well, what are we going to do with Evan Peters existing in the universe now? You know what I mean? Like, it causes problems like that. It's not just a troll. Like, now we're causing problems.
Well, and
So
are they doing a full X-Men recast, or are they like, do we just not know?
we have no idea. I just think it would have been like, even as a crumb, like I feel like it would have been a good idea, but just for them to do that. And he was Ralph, by the way, the husband. I even feel like you had to have, like, she's like, there is no Ralph, or make like the rabbit Ralph or something. I don't know. But just like it's just, I don't know. I just feel like it was poorly executed. And I don't think it's something to be like, oh, worst episode ever of TV. But it's just like you could have done better. That's where, in my mind, like, the poor writing comes in.
Well, see, and I will say in agreement with that, Courtney. The one part of that scene that bothered me was how in 1 minute he can just push Monica with a finger and she goes flying, but the next minute she's able to actually get up close to him and flip him over and knee the chest, and then all of a sudden it's over. So, like, I guess that was the only part of the scene where I was like, okay, how can he do this thing but he can't do that thing? Other than plot contrivance. But sorry, go ahead, D.
I was just gonna say, I think it's important that we say it's not that we're just upset that we weren't right. Like, it's not one of those situations where it's like, oh, well, I'm mad because I had this dope ass theory and it ended up being wrong. For me, it's more so there were so many theories that were better than what we actually got.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. And like, I'm fine with being wrong on theories again. Like, I watched Game of Thrones for
right.
But
and
I
that's
just
the part where it's just kind of like,
it's like when your fans write better plot lines than you do.
Exactly that. It's like if you have a complete story, it's fine. Like, if something happens that I didn't expect and I was wrong, but it's still good, then that's fine. Like, okay, I had it all wrong and this is still good. But it's now like you did a lot to throw us off of something that we probably wouldn't have figured out anyway.
And the thing is, they did a lot of throwing off, right? Like, I can accept like a couple of them, but it's like when it's almost like the whole episode was like, aha, stop doing fan theories or whatever. It's just like, well, now, like, because this is canon, like, you have to I don't know why the writers are acting like this isn't canon. Like, you can't do that as much. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's fine, like, here and there, but it felt like there was a lot of that. Aha, we tricked you. But it's like, well, okay, what are the canonical implications of this?
Because the show y'all. I blame all of y'all because I was looking for Mephisto and I didn't get him, so that's y'all's fault.
Perfect segue. Perfect segue. So Ryan is going to feel me on this because he likes sports like I do. Ryan, we're going to do basically an around the horn version where we buy or sell like these theories that are still lingering. Some of them could potentially have potential, maybe not. So I have 3 theories here that are still lingering, and we'll just say like, okay, I buy that. I know I sell it. It's done. It's a wrap. We're not doing it. The first is Mephisto still hiding in the background. So we could just go. I was about to say, D, you go first.
I sell it. I sell everything to do with Mephisto because he didn't show up and y'all had me excited, and now he doesn't exist. So I sell everything except for what AJ says is all Young Avengers. Anything that's not Young Avengers, I don't buy it.
Okay, Ryan.
Okay. I am going to sell that he was in the background, but I will buy that he will show up in another series like Loki. But I sell that he has anything to do with this. I have another person that I think has to do with this, and I'll wait for you to get around to it.
Loki.
Okay, Courtney, you buy or sell?
I'm curious who your person is. Is it Nightmare?
I think we're gonna get to it though.
Okay, so I sell. Yeah, I don't think there's any background with him. However, I do buy the fact that I still think he's gonna be one of the big villains. of this era. I think that what happens here will cause implications to bring him into the forefront, is what I think.
Mhm.
I think this show, like, and I feel like I'm hoping I'm right. And I would like to repeat what Dee says. It's not like, oh, I want to be right. It's just like, I think this is what's best. That this is going to be a show that we look back on in hindsight. It's like, oh my God, what a snowball that started. Because I think like that, especially like the end credit scenes kind of are like supposed to be like an oh shit type of moment. So I would love to see it somehow like lead into that level of chaos. And I use chaos very intentionally. But yeah, I'm hoping, because I think it would be a very compelling villain, which, you know, who's a compelling villain is Wanda, but I'm not going to get into it.
Big fan.
I cautiously buy Mephisto still being in the background, because in the Loki trailer there is a direct reference to Mephisto, so that's why I thought that's why I
think it's like very subtle background, not like puppet.
I mean, and it's a literal background reference to Mephisto.
Well,
like if you look closely in that trailer, you'll see it.
But you're cheating though. We're talking about in this, right? We're talking about WandaVision.
But no. The question was, is Mephisto still hiding in the background and like in parentheses is in the MCU? That's what I mean.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah. I thought you were talking WandaVision.
Oh, okay. Well, no. Basically, I should have rephrased the question and said, like, will we see Mephisto at all? Or
I think so. Yeah, y'all have talked about him so much. They kind of forced to bring him out now, right?
I was kind of thinking, like, I don't think he was like as directly involved in what happened with WandaVision, but I feel like the events of this are going to snowball into that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So question
here. Okay. I like that.
So theory 2, buy or sell. Basically the mutants will be introduced as a like in a similar like House of M storyline, or Wanda will be directly involved. D, do you buy or sell that?
Sell it.
You sell it.
Listen. Anything that has anything to do with the theories y'all had me excited for that did not come into fruition with WandaVision, I am selling. So I'm not expecting the X-Men to come into play until maybe the next phase, maybe.
I mean, I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, do you think, like, in relation to this theory, do you think there'll be the manner in which they introduce the mutants, or do you think they'll introduce them in a different way?
Oh, you saying via Wanda?
Yeah, via Wanda. Like basically, Wanda would be like the catalyst for introducing the mutants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if she was, but I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't either. At this point, I mean, you know, they can just pop out of thin air at this point. Who knows?
Yeah. Ryan, what say you?
I buy only because of the second post-credit scene. That's why I buy it, because of what's about to happen.
Courtney.
I agree fully. Like, I was like, dang, they're really not going to do that. But it's because of, in my opinion, both of the post-credit scenes. And with her hearing her kids' voices, I think it's gonna, because she's a Nexus being pretty much, because we know the Scarlet Witch is a Nexus being, so that's pretty much confirmed. I don't think she's gonna be like the 100% catalyst to it. I think she will play a role. I think the main way they're going to be able to do it is multiverse at this point. I still think we might get House of Emmett in some way, because one, Agatha wasn't 100% off, and since she's like the nosy neighbor, the Agatha in the comics was kind of more of like it's weird though, because she doesn't have her powers anymore, but the kind of like, she was almost like a nanny that was secretly a very powerful witch. So I'm wondering if she's going to come back to that, because she also played a huge role in House of M. I'm thinking we might, but we're not going to get it anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, because they were they were heavy-handed with one thing, but with certain things, and those are the things they want to lead you on about. But but what really like made my like ears like perk up is when I saw that commercial for Nexus, the drug. So they are really pushing the Nexus being thing, and the post credit scene where Wanda is seeing hearing the voices of her children is totally going to be a multiverse thing. So that's
doing her Doctor Strange thing.
So exactly. So in that regard, I do buy it that it's going to be a loose House of M story, and Wanda is going to be the catalyst. She may even be like a villain that they have to get in check. I think
Oh my
I've been saying that with the multiverse of madness. I do think because there was one very important line dropped. Basically, when Agatha says like, "Oh, the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme," she's talking about Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Yep. So I do think that's how it's going to happen. Now,
And
for
question:
go ahead.
Mephisto is the devil and Ghost Rider, yes, or they're pretty much the same.
I know Mephisto is like the Marvel's devil. I don't
Is
think
he? Is that
AJ back
not?
me on this. I don't think
Yeah,
Ghost Rider got
AJ.
his powers from. I think
Is that not
Ghost
him?
I think
Okay.
Ghost Rider got his powers from like actual hell. I don't think they came from
Actual
Mephisto,
devil.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
AJ like back me on this in the
I
in the
also
comments.
think like that's like
Okay.
another like maybe he might be like this might bring him forth because like I was honestly thinking too because like who would Agatha be married to, like the devil, because like they're associated. So
Hmm.
I was like, what are you doing now? What are you doing now, Marvel?
Hmm.
I'm very curious. So
All right. And the last theory, we're going to go 4 for 4 on this one. This show, and I'd like to say, I would like to say I said this first, but um, this show is basically a vehicle to introduce the Young Avengers. D, go.
Buy it.
Ryan,
Obviously, yes.
Courtney.
I'm gonna yes, I buy it. I guess I'm also gonna say why when we get like the White Vision, who's a big harbinger of that, and we also get both of her kids who were part of it. So it's pretty much like very obvious. It's like you can't even theorize it. It's just like duh at this moment for me.
Mhm. Yeah, and obviously for me because also down the pipeline they're introducing I think a show called Armor Wars where Rhodey is going to mentor a young black scientist by the name of Riri Williams, and she's basically going to stand in the place of Iron Lad, who is Morgan Stark. So she's going to be Ironheart, and she's going to be the one who becomes the new you know Iron Man, basically. So yeah, they're very clearly with the especially with the introduction of like Miss Marvel and Miss America. Like I think there's going to be a Miss America show.
I can
They
go ahead.
Yeah, they are very clearly like introducing Young Avengers.
Well, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say
Hawkeye too.
yeah, Hawkeye. And I was gonna kind of, if we could bring up what AJ said, I agree. Like with the mutants, will be a multiverse thing. I think because this entire phase is just gonna be focused on introducing the multiverse, and I think that it's probably gonna be like the big oh shit moment at the end of like this whole phase because it would be hard to focus on both mutants and multiverse at the same time because they like to do an overarching theme. So I think AJ was. I just wanted to highlight that because I think that's actually like almost certainly correct at this point.
Yeah.
Also, let me throw this out there. Do you know the subtitle for Ant-Man 3? Quantum Mania.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
more
We're getting
so
space
so
magic. Mm.
so more dealing in the in the quantum realm. Like so I mean
But see, they brought up the multiverse in Spider-Man, and I know that he was lying. I know, y'all, relax. I know he was lying, but it just feels like they keep bringing it up to shoot it down, and I don't get
oh,
why.
you mean like in
Far
so
From
in
Home.
the not well whatever this third one is named. I forgot
No,
the
No
name
Way
of
Home.
it.
they don't. Did they have a name yet?
No Way
Yeah, they
Home.
do. No way
It's No Way
home.
Home. Okay,
Yeah.
Home,
but
yeah,
yeah, I
Home
don't.
Alone.
No
I
mind.
think I
Don't worry
think
about it.
they like disappointing people, and then it's like, haha, here it actually is. Because I don't see why they wouldn't do multiverse when they introduce the concept of Wanda being a Nexus being.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like you can't have one without the other.
It
Like
just
Like it's coming, but it will come slowly. Like that. So okay, with this phase, obviously we're gonna have all the Disney Plus shows. We're gonna have Multiverse of Madness. We're gonna have No Way Home. And we're going to have what's the we're gonna have What If and the Eternals coming soon, right? So I think like within this phase, we're gonna have, as AJ said, Multiverse of Madness is going to set it up, and they'll flesh out this whole story that will eventually end in, like AJ said, the mutants coming. But I think that's why a lot of these theories got a little crazy So it's like, oh, they're gonna have, Sir Patrick Stewart is gonna be there, and they're gonna show up with the Halle Berry's gonna be there as the original Storm, and
Paul
like,
Bettany, I have beef with you. I don't care if you were
Yeah.
joking.
I was
I
gonna
will
say, let's
find
speak on
you.
it.
I
Let's
mean,
speak on
like,
it.
I think, and I
Let's
think
talk
that's my
about it.
thing is that I get why people wanted it to go there, and I think it will eventually get there. It'll eventually get there, but I think there's a lot of story left to tell to me, and that's why I didn't think like if Doctor Strange showed up at the end of the episode, I'd been kind of upset because this was Wanda's story to conclude, and so just to have Doctor Strange show up and be like, "Haha, I'm gonna save the day," or "Hey, I can teach you." I think it gets too ham-fisted in terms of like setting up Multiverse of Madness. Because I thought she was gonna fly across the river at that end scene, but I was like, no, that'd be too obvious. Like it's gonna be she's going off into being
I just
secluded.
wanted to see
Will you
Ian
stop moving my
McKellen.
headphones, please?
That's all. I just
So
wanted to see Ian
yeah.
McKellen.
So
Okay,
Ryan,
so
let me pick. Oh, okay, go ahead, D.
I just wanted to say we can go to it because I think we're gonna get to it about the actors. We can talk about it then. Go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, let me because I'm gonna bring up a comment that AJ brought, and we're gonna introduce your point about the actors. But let me go back to those first two episodes that people hate so much because
I
the
love them.
breadcrumbs are there.
I love them.
So and I think that's how we get like the breadcrumbs leading up into the multiverse because if you watch those episodes closely, like Wanda was manipulating reality by what she was doing in the house. Like she would make a poof, a dinner would come out of nowhere. Like so, she was manipulating reality right there, and I think that's the breadcrumb leading to the multiverse because now she has the book and she has the incantations, and then she's going through it, and her power is growing. She's going to say like, okay, like I hear my son screaming out for me. Let me go get them, or it's going to
Hear
be
my son crying
crying
out for
out
me.
for me. But no, seriously, like
This
Go
is
ahead.
why we
Don't
don't have
ever do
Ryan.
that again.
This is why we don't have Ryan on here.
Don't
If you
ever do
ever
that
want to
again.
know, this is
Ever.
why. I want Sophia to do all the speaking from here on out.
But yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it was dropping the breadcrumbs there that we are indeed in the multiverse, and Wanda doesn't even have like a fraction of her power yet, but she's starting to realize it.
She's like top
But
5 OP in my opinion. And I'm like, and I just want to say I was correct that they gave her like the magic like crown. Like I once again was correct. So yeah, that was like she's like one of my favorites, of course, but that's why I want her to be a villain because like that's one thing that I think Marvel is lacking is compelling villains, and Wanda would
yes,
be such a compelling. It's because of writing, but Wanda would be such a compelling villain because I think. Can I go on this tangent? I think I went on this tangent in the group chat, but I think that I don't think they meant to do this with the show. Which again, it's like if their writers could be a little bit more intentional, is that in a lot of the movies we're so set up to like support. We kind of get it in Civil War a little bit, but we're so set to support these heroes when they're like up here fucking up people's lives with no repercussions. Like
dropping a city on
like,
people.
Hayward, of course, was a horrendous person, but like he's like the villain, of course, and he got like worse consequences than Wanda when Wanda should have had some kind of consequences because she took over those people's lives for who knows how long, and like and it never fully addressed it. Like and I'm glad they did this. That this was her. This was, of course, she went through trauma, but that doesn't give you the right to take over people's lives like that. So I think and people do that. It's like, oh, these people are amazing, and they won't ever recognize the fact that Tony Stark is a war criminal and stuff like that. So I think that's a really interesting concept. I would love to see them get into more. Like these people are not always heroes. So I'm hoping that would be Wanda. I think would be the best way to do that.
I want to add, I'm really glad that they did it at the end because they kind of mucked it up with whether it was Wanda or Agatha that was controlling those people. Because, I mean, there is a song that literally says it was Agatha all along.
I think
it was Wanda.
It was Wanda, but Agatha could have stopped it.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I'm saying like, I'm not mad. Like, I want to be clear. I'm not mad about it because, again, the song is magnificent. It's great, whatever. But the song says it was Agatha all along, right? It makes you think that Agatha is the person that did all these things. They had this little clue where there were no children, and then all of a sudden there were children. So you're thinking, okay, Agatha is doing all of these things, but it wasn't Agatha. It was Wanda. It was still Wanda.
I guess the way I took that, and again, I feel like Agatha was like I feel like the purpose of the song was to show how she was manipulating certain things all along to get Wanda to utilize her powers or do certain things or
Sure.
learn her secrets. Like that was the way I saw it when the song first came on. Like I still felt like Wanda was doing what was going on, and I think that episode kind of sealed it for me because you could tell that Agatha wasn't really aware of Wanda's true power, right? And it shows in the beginning of the song her flying into town. Like she flies down to the town as after it's already set up and then changes into Agnes. So to me, I feel like that right there showed that she wasn't responsible for the whole thing. I'm glad that they didn't kind of to kind of like wave away the whole thing and all the consequences, and that town hates her as they should
They should.
because they were ready to. One of them wanted her to kill them. I mean, like like it's just. And I appreciate what AJ said because I was just telling my sister-in-law before this. I had no feelings for Wanda or Vision before this series. I did not care for either one of them. I was like y'all, where when they announced it, I was like, okay, whatever. And to the point where after the first episode, I was like, okay, I kind of see what they're trying to do, but I don't know if I feel like watching it. And by the end of this, I feel like as somebody who was never really versed in the comics, who has a really bad memory with half the movies, I feel like they did a good job kind of setting up the backstory of Wanda or kind of showcasing her actions and why she was always in such a fragile state. But like AJ said, I don't feel bad for her because a lot of the stuff she did on her own. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like the character is better fleshed out and better explained. And I think that's necessary for what we're trying to do moving forward. And she's going to play a big role in this because if you would have just for the people that are going to inevitably skip this show and go straight into the movies and we go into Multiverse of Madness, they may not have as much of a fleshed out version of her. And so I think there will be some disconnect. But I feel like this does a great job of setting her up to whether she's going to have a more I can't hear if you do that. Where she's going to have a more prominent role, people can better understand her story and what she's going to bring to the table.
I want to add one point too that I guess that just noticed me like Wanda is a very she's a perpetual liar because this whole time she's like, I don't know how I did this. I don't know how I did this. It's true. But also like at the very end, she told Vision how she created him. So she knew. I mean, I don't believe that the flashback told her. I think she knew all along what she was doing. I think she knew how she created it, and she suppressed it to act like everything was fine because she was buying into the show too. But she knew all along. So, but I think she was trying to like act like everything is okay because she was kind of shocked to see like a drone from the outside. But again, like that was still her. She was lying this whole time, and she even to the point knew how she created Vision. So I think it like they are planting seeds. Like she's not a great person, and she was a villain before too. But a really wonderfully fleshed out way to do it, in my opinion.
So I want to circle back to. I'm sorry, D.
No, I was just gonna say I agree because it's like we understand that she's got grief and she's gone through a lot and she's lost her family because she lost everybody. But that doesn't give you a reason to do what you did because you're not the only person in the world or
has trauma
that has grief.
It's the main reason why I didn't like Monica's line. I mean, I understood Monica's line, but I didn't like it. Like I didn't like the whole.
I didn't either.
I had your powers. I did it too. Like, girl, please, I like you. Stop.
I like you too.
I think that maybe to me shows like this is me like trying to be a little too forgiving, but like to me that shows that like oh my god, not everyone is like perfect. I think they're like making characters a little bit more like two-sided rather than everyone's a perfect hero. Like again, we're gonna get back to it. Like why didn't Captain America step in the 60s? Anyway.
He should have.
Peggy, like, ain't you gonna help him?
Peggy was in some of those pictures with George Wallace.
I've seen the future Peggy. It's fine. It works out great. Trust me.
It's cool. It's cool. They get Barack Obama.
I was good friends with one of the blacks. It's fine.
No, I agree with what Ahmed says, which is all this makes superpower beings look like villains to the public, which gives you like I feel like Hayward had good motivation for what he did. Like if anybody else, like I know you're supposed to hate him by the end of it, but
he's a typical capitalistic like military person.
Yes, but I also feel like a lot of what he did was spurred by the trauma of what happened after the events of Infinity War. Like they do a good job of explaining why this dude is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and why he is like really trying to drive this whole point home.
AJ, I'm sorry, I just saw what AJ.
But I want to circle back to the point I was going to make, which has to do with Hayward. And the one question that I wanted answered that I feel like will be answered down the line, I want to know what y'all think, because after the philosophical fight between the Visions, White Vision just yeeted on out of there. So I wonder, like, how do y'all think that arc is going to continue? Because what kind of bothered me, and I can understand why Wanda's Vision didn't do it, but I always kind of wondered why he didn't mention what happened. And I guess it was just to allow her to continue to let him go and not kind of break things down and go searching for him. But what do y'all think is going to happen with this with the Caucasian Vision?
I think it's going to be like the comics, where like it's going to be similar. He's going to have the memories of Vision, but not the personality. Might cause problems a little bit, but he also had a role a little bit in Young Avengers. So I think like that to me is like, oh duh, Young Avengers is for sure happening. So, but it's not going to be the same Vision ever, and that's why like they in the comics and now on the show that they have that visual representation but difference.
I thought that analogy with the ship, I thought it was perfect.
That whole dialogue was like
I thought it was perfect. And I think the explanation of whether it is the same ship or a different ship or are they both the original ship is the perfect analogy of what Vision is. It's like neither of them are Vision because he's gone, but they are still very much Vision at the same time. So like you will never have the original Vision back. Like that's just not going to happen. Even like he said, if you replace all of the parts and restore the original parts, it's still not him because that Vision is gone. But the essence, I guess, of Vision, the soul, if you can say Vision has a soul, is there. So I mean, whatever.
I don't know if it's the soul. I feel like it's just the memories.
Yeah.
Like
well, that's what I'm saying. He can't have a soul, but I'm saying
like
as
his
far
personality
as the computer goes, that would be, you know, his essence, or if it were us, you know, the soul of the person.
I think vanilla Vision is going to be much like Vision did at the end of Age of Ultron. He's going to like basically just find a reason for existence, because I think much like you said, I think that was you, Courtney. No, that was actually AJ in the comments. He's going to take off for a while. He's going to examine humanity. He's going to examine Wanda, like go back through those memories and basically look for a reason to exist now, because his conversation with Hexagon Vision basically said like, okay, your one mission was to destroy me, but now that we are the same and we are basically one and the same, what's your purpose now? So I think that's what, Vanilla Vision is going to be doing.
It's funny because it made me think about, you say he's going to examine humanity. Someone on Twitter was like, it's funny that Ultron was on the internet for 15 minutes, was like, oh yeah, they all got to die.
because Ultron got on Twitter and saw memes about
an android that women were falling in love with.
Listen,
yes,
whatever. Y'all hating. Nobody said nothing about y'all and your rogue what's her name? Photon.
I mean, what I was gonna say was like she's an actual person. Like that's the thing. See, like okay, the other side of that coin that you could have used was people freaking out over Lola Bunny, but that's a whole nother conversation entirely.
Well, they were freaking out over a Nazi, so I mean,
they were. Again, as AJ reiterated and as D talked about, Ultron was online for 15 seconds and realized we all needed to go. And those are two examples of why.
And you know what? I know for a fact it was on Twitter. Like all he had to do was just sign into Twitter for like 5 minutes, and that was it.
And then he was like, "Nah, they gotta go."
He posted a selfie, and people instantly started making fun of him. And he was like, "Nah, this whole species has got to go."
Ultron was like, "You don't deserve to live. Like none of you. I want you all to go."
I don't even have a hairline. Why are you talking about my hairline?
Will there be one?
But yeah, let's now get into, I guess, before we get into close, let's talk about the two the mid credit scene and the actual post credit scene. He saw AJ. He was like, "Nah, they gotta go. This AJ guy."
Is this your king?
So yeah, let's get into the post credit scene. Let's first talk about the Monica Rambo one was first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is so I guess I'll start with you, D. What do you think about that and where does it lead?
I was quite happy to see a scroll because in Captain Marvel, the after I watched the first time I watched it, I was like, I should have seen it. But I remember even when I thought they were evil, remember the first one that was killed when
Mhm.
Ben Mendelsohn was in
Mhm.
the form of a human,
Mhm.
when it was laid on the table, the way he was speaking to him was like, go forth, brother, in light and all this stuff, like speaking those words. I was like, dang, that's very sweet for evil, like for a villain. That's very, nice. So I was very happy to see them because if that is the type of um personality that they all have, I would like to see more of that. And that to me is, like you said, is setting up more of Monica, which I mean, I play with y'all all the time, but all the Tiana we can handle is fine with me. So I'm very excited to see that.
Too much ain't enough. But anyway, so
Never
obviously
too much.
Talos is still alive, right?
Yeah.
I'm not imagining it. But yeah, so Talos is
He had with
calling
his
out
people,
for
right?
Talos is calling out for Photon and Monica Rambo, and he's like, hey, we see what you're doing down there. We need you. So come on
See,
up. So
I
I like
assumed
it.
obviously,
it
I
was
see
Nick
it.
Fury.
I like it.
I assumed it was Nick Fury because he was still on that ship at the end of Far From Home.
I thought that was somebody pretending to be him.
Was it?
When he pretending to be Nick, or was
I thought
that
it was
Nick
actually him. I
and the
thought it was
scroll was
actually him in the.
pretending to be Nick down here? Was that
I
the
think the
I thought
case?
the
scroll
scroll
was
was
pretending to be Nick
be
down
Nick
here,
down
Okay, so
here.
Nick was up there.
so
Okay,
that he
Up there.
could just
just
relax.
take a vacation. Okay, I just couldn't remember which was which. I remember. Okay, but that makes sense, Ryan.
I
well,
assumed it
either
was
way, it'll be Talos or Nick Fury.
One
It'll
of them.
be yeah. The ship was the real Nick. Yeah.
Okay,
So
that'll be fine.
so yeah. Now let's get to
One of them is calling for.
and Courtney, you can take this one. Now let's get to the final post credit scene, which was
Just like this, and like some people were upset by this, but I think it makes sense because we don't know the time jump. Like, because she didn't even know it was like magic. She's like, whatever, I have powers. So like her meeting with Agatha is meaningful because now she's like, and people, I don't know why people are like, how did she do it so fast? Like, that's the point. She's the Scarlet Witch. So I think now that she's actually like learning spells and stuff, like she's gonna be so OP. Like that's what I've been wanting to see because I'm not just like I'm not lying when she's like one of the most OP people. I'm not going to say she's not a hero. She's one of the most OP people in the comics, period, across the board. So she's kind of tapping into that cosmic energy, and not only that, like with her being able to hear her kids. Only people that can hear in different universes are Nexus beings, which is what she is. So, that was basically the whole show is confirmation for multiverse, really, but that's really hype. So I think we're probably going to see her in Doctor Strange. We're definitely going to see her in Doctor Strange, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah, no,
she is
she's in it.
I like
yeah.
a big, but no, I mean like a big role is what I'm thinking. So I think that was just pretty much that. So that was very exciting.
Isn't one of the early promotional pieces like her and Strange side by side? Pretty sure. So yeah, I think she's
I
playing
just
a major
want
role.
her. Yeah, I just want her to not be I don't know, like at least not even an anti-hero. She's not a hero. It's you took a whole town mind hostage.
Do you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Ron.
Go ahead, right?
No,
Oh,
go ahead, Ron.
okay. Well, I'll get this out quick. I basically want to follow up on something Courtney said earlier because, like, if there's one strike against Marvel's records, it's basically the lack of compelling villains. So just imagine we've been following Wanda this entire time, and she's basically saying, you know what? Now I just want what I want, and whoever gets in my way, like I'm just gonna deal with you. Like, so we may now be seeing the creation of someone who fought on the good side, like have like some kind of like grayish type, ambitions. Yeah.
And this is what scares me. I want them to do it right because it reminds me another extremely OP female character in the comics is how they can never get the Dark Phoenix correct. So I'm like, and to me, it's like a parallel in my mind where it's like you have someone that's seen as a hero to many, and then she gets so OP that you start to see those gray areas, but they can never do it correct. I want them to do it correct with Wanda, because now at least we have backstory. Because like villains aren't always villains just because like, aha, I'm evil. Like a lot of things, like a lot of times, it's like, oh, you know, I can kind of see the vision, but
Well, hold on. Miss America is in Multiverse of Madness as well. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, I just would like to see, especially because they kept pointing out how she was more powerful than Doctor Strange. I think that's really important. So I don't want her like to calm back down. Like I think she's gonna cause problems if she didn't.
Here's the problem I think she's gonna cause. And again, this is somebody with limited comic knowledge. This is just me circling through Reddit message boards and all kinds of stuff. But here, my theory is that based on what happened at the end, based on Agatha's words, which is you have no idea what you just unleashed, and her hearing the boys in the multiverse, I think that the next big villain is Cthulhu. And the reason why I think that, based on what I've been able to put together, is that's where the boys are. He's the creator of the Darkhold. He did it as a way to seal or whatever his magic. That's my exact point too, AJ. That is my exact point too. This is why I don't think Wanda would stay a villain. I think that's where the boys are, and I think what Agatha was warning about her unleashing was Cthulhu, and so I think he becomes the big bad of Multiverse of Madness. I don't know if that lasts beyond that, but I think that's who gets unleashed. I think that's the battle. I think she goes to get her boys back, and in doing that and crossing into that dimension or wherever the hell he is, pun not intended. That is what unleashes him. So that's my theory. It's not a polished theory, but that's my thought process as what we're getting next. Simply because Mephisto, I think that whole thing with China is going to be an issue. I know that's why I don't think they can make him a central character. They need that China money, and China is already kind of about like skeletons and zombies. So I don't think they'll allow the literal Marvel devil to sort of be a thing that's a center focus. So there's got to be a way that if they're going to
the Southern Baptist coalition would probably be like, yeah.
Mordor, somebody else. Armada Jack mentioned Mordor too. Whoever that is.
Yes,
I see that.
Let me find that. Mordor is still a Magic Sinister could assist with that.
And I don't think I see Wanda being a main villain, but I can see her doing problematic things and it causing issues where she just becomes more of a morally gray character.
Yeah, I think that's where it's heading.
Catalyst for a lot of issues.
She's not a hero. She's not a hero, and I wouldn't even say an anti-hero. She just like sometimes does good things.
But she never has been.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, even in Civil War, she contained the blast only to throw it into the building and kill however many other people. Which
I think
she felt horrible about it, but she still did it.
And I think that like I said, I want them to shift to more of like seeing like how regular people see heroes rather than just us, the movie watchers, because like I wouldn't care how many lives you're saving. Like I would care that I vanished for so many years and now I'm facing that, or like you ruined my home, like you accidentally killed someone I loved, stuff like that. It's deeper than just like, and I know some people have issues with it because it's not sparkly and a big bow, but it's just boring to me.
Yeah.
What was that? I feel like there was a show that did that, like that.
The Boys.
I mean, not just The Boys. There was another show. Like I want to say there was something from the early 2000s that kind of explored that concept, but I can't.
Wasn't it with Superman or something?
No, it was something that wasn't tied to like comic book heroes. It was just something like from the perspective. I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
I remember that being. I kind of remember it being a thing or a concept that was at least pushed. Like maybe as a comedy series.
So this is what and we'll like try to wrap up here, but basically AJ is saying she's going to act out in the first part of Doctor Strange 2, and she's going to recruit Miss America to get the boys back, and then all of a sudden she'll be good. So and the important part about Miss America is that Miss America also has the ability to travel through dimensions, so that's another possibility.
And then why wouldn't we also get Photon if we're getting like space and physics and stuff like this is all going to be like physics and science and space and dimensions, so it's all going to be that. So I think it'll be everything is pointing to that, because like why would you bring Photon back if because that's one of her main things too, is kind of altering space around her. So I think that she's gonna be one of my new favorites. Is like I want to see more of Monica Rambeau.
I want to see.
Okay, stop.
I want to.
I too would also like to see more.
I love the actress. I think she does great. I think that they've made the character really compelling. So I want to see a lot more. I think she's really all of them.
See, I'm saying
I think they're making all of them into one person. I'm just saying Photon because the outfit looks more like Photon. Yeah. Basically, the costume is Photon, but I think they're morphing all of her characters into one. Personally.
Yes, shout out to Monica Rambeau's hair for no reason.
Such lovely hair. Ooh, so soft and moisturized. I am,
right,
but okay. Look,
I really don't want to hear. I don't want to hear from D.
You get this so much because of this. This is the reason that we have to go on 10-minute tangents about Jesus giving me a white boy. This is why. This is Ronnie's fault.
Yes, AJ. Yes.
Anyway,
but we'll wrap up here. Like, D, go ahead.
We talked about this a little off air. The actors, I think, made things a little worse because two reasons. One, Elizabeth said there was going to be a moment equivalent to
a Mark Hamill level.
Yeah, and there was nothing close to that because Quicksilver did not have the range, and Vision versus Vision is just like, okay, great, whatever. So that was a problem there. Two, Paul Bettany, like Courtney says, he was very excited to work with an actor, and his actor is himself. So know,
I have beef with you.
Yeah, so they kind of did it. They set us up for a lot, and I will say they really did make us think there would be more Monica, and there was a lot of Monica, but there wasn't nearly as much.
I think that they were trying to go for that Tom Holland type energy, and it only works with him.
Possibly.
Because he was a teenager when he started. He's like a young adult. Like he knows how to do it, and like these grown ass people need to stop trying to emulate these young people.
I mean, what's his face was good too. Ruffalo was good. Yeah.
I thought Bettany's troll was funny. Like
that was
funny, but the thing is, like, but Elizabeth Olsen is just. I think, like I said, I think they're trying to emulate like the same energy that Tom Holland gives, but it's not working because it's British humor, but it's also him as a person.
No, you can't say a Mark Hamill-esque surprise,
and then you have
not give us.
Paul's, if you watch Paul's interview the whole time, you could tell he's being sarcastic.
Well, I don't. Paul is fine because
it was funny. Like I think it was funny, but hers was just like you can't.
Because he hammed the whole thing up enough to where, like, and that's the thing. Like, I understand again the.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
But Ryan, like you're saying, like. I'm okay with Paul too, just because if somebody was like, "Oh, I am just looking forward to, acting with this person who to me is just like the ultimate, the great," and then it have to be you like.
And I picked up on that too. Finally, last episode, I was like, I bet Paul Bettany was trolling us, but
okay, like I'll buy that, but yeah,
but
Elizabeth.
I get what you're saying with Elizabeth too, because that was just kind of like, that don't work.
And I feel like if you have multiple actors doing it, it becomes a whole different thing.
Yeah,
Elizabeth really set it up, but like it could have been anybody other than Sir Ian that would make us as excited.
AJ, if they would stop on this pointless CGI, they would have cameo money.
Yeah, they need to just these actors need to just stop the cap because this is not a Mark Hamill level.
Now, what they did with the Spider-Man movie titles was great. I love stuff like that. That's fun, but it's just you have to do it correctly.
I think it'll be fun. All in all, how do y'all rate the series? 1 out of 5?
I think it was really good. I would say probably. I don't know if it's like a 3.5 or a 4 out of 5, mainly because of creativity out of like the concept of the shows and even having commercials. That was like excellent and really great.
I want people to watch because I would recommend people watch it. So I give it a 4 too.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 3.5, but a 3.5 for me is a
It's
4
good.
for most people. So
Whatever. Ryan, what you give it?
I give it a 4.
3.5 for me. I mean,
I don't feel like it was perfect.
It's a
I
reward in itself.
I was very close to giving it a 5. I would almost give it a 5, but that would be with context, right? That would be with understanding what this is supposed to be. If you don't come into this with super mega expectations of this really setting up the next, like AJ made a point that the viewership on this is a fraction of what they're going to get in the theaters. So there's only so much that they were going to explore here. So AJ hates everything.
He hates
AJ hates
everything.
everything.
He didn't want to watch it from the beginning, so that's not a surprise.
I give it a 4. I think it's a decent story that is told very well.
Super well.
It's not a story that's just like, oh my god, that was amazing writing, but it's done visually. It's done well. I love the theming, like Courtney said. I love the homage to old TV shows and directing styles. As somebody that is a big television production person, communications person, that to me was perfection. But of course, there are places where they dropped the ball, and I think the ending was great.
I think where they dropped the ball, where it was like all Marvel-y. Like everything that was like not Marvel-esque was like excellent.
Look at the table.
So yeah, question to close out: will we be back for COINTELPRO and the Winter Soldier?
I was gonna say, who's excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Like, are we? I feel like look.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Heavy is the crown. I feel like because we do this type of work, we have to watch it. So I feel like we'll be back.
We do it for you. We will.
I feel like we will be back for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No, we will be watching it as COINTELPRO.
But we might go on a lot of tangents because when we don't like something, we start talking about.
Yeah, when we don't like it, it's a rough ride.
I'm gonna start roasting Game of Thrones every episode.
Maybe if you don't sit up here and endorse really bad presidential candidates and eventual president.
If you see me posting this, if you see KWC posting this and giving any tweets or anything else going towards this show, know that if you see COINTELPRO and Bucky, we mean Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I'm not calling it anything other than what I just said. It is here and forever now called COINTELPRO.
Hey, yes, I want to add what Ahmed said. Please give me more Randall Park. Give me more Randall Park.
Yeah. Randall Park is a treasure.
Michael too. He wasn't in this. I'm sorry, but give us Michael too. I love his stories.
Yeah. Yes.
His fast pace, And I say yes. I love this story so much from Ant-Man.
But yeah,
back in that, man.
I'm excited for Loki.
For Harris.
I'm so excited for Loki. That show's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
If I have to do Loki by myself, please believe we will be reviewing Loki.
You might have to, because the level of thirst will be
astronomical.
Are you sure you want me to review Loki by myself?
D has a pattern here with pasty men that are tall and lanky. I just want everyone to see the pattern.
Hey, hold on. Falcon and the Winter Soldiers, the white man can't jump at the MCU. But okay, before we close out, now I promise we're about to close. You know what's wild about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I'm gonna say this quickly. So in the comic, there's a character that they introduced when Steve Rogers decides, you know what, I'm about to chill, let me go away. So Steve Rogers dies in the MCU, and he himself appoints.
He literally dies. Dies.
I mean, he doesn't die in the MCU. You know what I mean?
He dies after he casts his vote for Trump.
But I'm saying. Oh
no. I mean, when he goes away. So, but he appoints Sam Wilson as his heir apparent. The U.S. government, they say, nah, Captain America is gone. Let's get another white man as Captain America. So I say that to say, Wyatt Russell will be appearing as U.S. agent in Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they do not trust black men to be Captain America. Boom.
I think that actually is a plot line they very much would do.
Well, they said they mentioned that he was gonna have some pretty much like,
and they're gonna be like, look how on the times we are. Look how woke, look how quote unquote woke Disney is.
I think they said that was kind of like that. Sam was gonna kind of like be portraying an actual black person in this movie.
I'd love it if they did a play on like the fake.
Must be a tough role for him. Must be a tough role for him.
They should have gave him locks.
To play a black man.
We're gonna see how great the acting is.
Should have gave him locks and a fade, like a high like kids fade. and an open face.
If they introduce Pigtree.
But yeah, that's all. But yeah,
And a
that's all we
chain.
have. That's all we have for today. And
Hope he sleep in a do-rag.
before we go out, I just want to say, please follow our podcast on last week's episode on wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
That's right, AJ, because Clarence's parents have a real good marriage.
Yeah, so subscribe to the blog. Follow us on the KWC blog on Twitter. Follow the YouTube page, The Kids Wear Crowns. Subscribe to the YouTube. And that's all I got. So until next time.
Oh, subscribe to Don't Call Us Podcast too.
Subscribe
to Don't Call Us a Podcast. Yeah, more content coming that way. We're going to get back on our regular schedule. But peace.